Queer theory exists in a nutshell to antagonize norms. Okay, so the goal is not this normal, quote unquote, idealistic family, two girls, two boys, whatever kind of thing, becoming normal, walking their dog, having normal jobs, whatever. That is not the goal. The goal is that anything that can be considered normal by society, even if accurate, and a neutral description, i.e., a woman, and thus that carries or can be construed to imply a morally normative expectation about it, which is deemed intrinsically oppressive. So anything normal is oppressive. Today, I was listening to something on criminal justice study or criminal criminology. And criminal criminology says that the oppressed is the convict. The oppressed is the person who commits the crime. So we're taking any kind of normal and we're destroying that. We're dismantling it, taking it down and taking it down. So this again is not about the fact. Now, I look at this Judith Butler person and I think obviously this is a person who does not like gender norms. Um, and when I'm looking at her, I think, maybe she had a hard life because maybe she didn't really feel extremely feminine. I am assuming here. But I want to assume because what I want to do is be compassionate. If you don't fit into a norm, then maybe you get involved in these kind of things because you just want to be accepted. And so I can completely understand a person who looks like her, a woman who looks like her, feeling like she's not very well accepted. So we see her. The issue then becomes needing to push her beliefs onto other people. So your own secret struggle, that's fine. But why do you need to push this on other people and especially kids? And I'm going to show you several examples that prove that yes, kids are a huge part of this. So this attitude is probably most clearly understood in the binary dichotomy, normal versus abnormal. Noting that there is a relative positive connotation to normal. See, so the issue is you resent that there is a version of normal and that you don't fit into it. I can understand that. I think that most of us have something that we, don't fit into the box that we're supposed to fit in. So I get that. And I can even understand that. I mean, if you look at her eyes, she might even be a kind person. Honestly, she has what I call woke eyes, but she probably means the best in the things that she's created. I'm trying to be generous here. So, but what I'm also trying to do is get parents to understand that regardless of whether or not we want to be generous, this is still coming for our kids. So this is the dichotomy of normal versus abnormal, noting that there is a relative positive connotation to normal as compared to a relatively negative connotation to abnormal. Considering ways that society tends to accept one's behavior to be within certain bounds of normalcy. Okay, but you have to ask, and I'm asking this as a history educator, why does normal even matter? Does it matter? I would say yes, it does. Because society dies when you don't have some sort of norms. Just a fact. You can't continue on as a civilization if you don't have children. And if people continue to medicate themselves, if people choose to be in relationships with the same gender, more children are not coming. So these are societal norms that shouldn't be you're a bigot for saying that because it's simply the truth. And the truth matters in keeping a civilization going. So, considering ways that society tends to accept one's behavior to be within certain bounds of normalcy, and everything falling outside of that is abnormal, perverted, or crazy, may clarify this understanding. Queer theory should merely seek to expand the boundaries of normal to include circumstances like homosexuality or stretching the ideas further, intersex conditions. But to abolish the idea that normal is anything but constraining and oppressive. So your quote unquote normal life, your heterosexual life, is automatically seen as oppressive. Even if you say nothing, even if you are friends with your neighbor who happens to be gay or lesbian or even trans, regardless of what their life is, you just existing in the stereotype of normal is problematic to people who want to dismantle it, which is why they go for the kiddos, because the kids are more likely to adapt. The younger that they are, the more likely that they will adapt to these ideas. So queer theory seems to deliberately, and this is on purpose, right? Deliberately confuse anything that is descriptively normal. Anything. So people will look at you, and it's been interesting to just watch people kind of look at you and lie to your face about anything, right? Because here's the issue: when everything is drag, let me pull this picture up real quick. So she says there is no original or primary gender a drag imitates, but gender is a kind of imitation of which there is no original. So basically what they're saying is there is no truth. So then you can start to think, oh, so this person who doesn't they don't have any kind of concept of language. They have no problem with lying because there is no such thing as truth. In fact, today I was watching one of my favorite, and by that I'm being completely sarcastic, groups, Mormon Women for Ethical Government, talk about just that different people have different ideas of truth. Okay, but that's a different worldview. That is a worldview of postmodernism. That is a worldview where there is no real truth. I don't happen to subscribe to that worldview, and I resent very much being told that I must in order to fit in with the quote unquote new normal, which is funny because they don't want a normal in the first place.